and Andrew Razor Raycroft is here. By the way, the drip game, as Wiggy would call it, I feel like you have taken it to a whole new level on the broadcast.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the jacket is that's a special.
That velour was
jacket.
hitting.
Yeah.
I
So
saw
I might have
that.
to find another one of those.
Did Mrs. Raycroft help you
Of
pick
course,
that?
yeah,
Of course
yeah. I
did.
can't
That's
pull that off myself. Yeah, I need clearance on that one for sure.
All right. Well, we sit exactly where I hate saying this because I have PTSD. Don't say it. We say it. We sit exactly where we were 1 year ago with a 3-1 lead in round one of the playoffs. But you're around them all the time. Is this a different hockey team? Is this a different? Is this a head coach who learned from some mistakes last year?
They've certainly learned from last season. It's a different team on the other side, of course. But yeah, last year I was taking a victory lap already at 3-1. This team hadn't lost all year. They were so perfect. Oh, they're going to win in 5. Oh, I have them in 5. This is perfect. I'm not doing that this year. Of course, we saw Toronto kind of implode in Game 4. That always makes me a little nervous. You've got that animal that's backed against the wall.
Yeah.
It's now them against the world, and they can take that mentality. But certainly they're in a great spot. This is close this thing out and look to the next round.
Who's in net tomorrow night?
Jeremy Swayman. Bang!
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Oh, I would eat that Burger King crown if he's not in net in Game 5. You got it. It's Swayman series now. It's very obvious. He's been so good against Toronto. He's so good right now, just in general. And you let him close this series out, yes.
Okay, so then what do you do next series? You don't try to go back to the rotation, do you?
Well, so the rotation's gone, right? The word rotation of like every other game is gone. I do think we see Ullmark again. I can envision a scenario where let's assume Florida closes their series out. They're 3-1 against Tampa Bay. You assume it's Florida. I could see going down to Sunrise and playing both goalies in the first 2 games, however that works, and then kind of moving from there. They've talked so much about playing both goalies, I think. And I said, if they're going on a long run, they're going to need both goalies. I think you're going to see Ullmark again.
But you have been so right. You've been the lone voice of reason in the wilderness of Honkton, where you have said over and over again, whether it's with our show on the weekends or with middays here, whatever, that the best goalie will play the vast majority. Yet people still cling to this. The reason they're good is because of the every other thing. Can you clarify how absurd that is?
Well, I can try. I don't think I'm going to get, like, I've been doing this for 2 months at least, or for 18 months for this, at the end of the day. And for some reason, people have latched on and they don't want to let up on the rotation. Listen, you can, like I said, you can play both goalies. You can't have a rotation. Matchups are different. Playoffs are different. It's different in the regular season where you're playing every other night. You're flying all over the country. You're playing a team on back-to-backs. You're playing different groups. You're playing injured players, This is very highly focused, laser focused on who you're playing against, and certain matchups, certain goalies play and have a good feel against different teams. And I think when you get into this, you can't afford to throw away a game. In a regular season, you can afford to go back and forth on the rotation, even if a guy's kind of struggling or not really feeling it, because you can afford to lose that game. You can't afford, like people saying, "Oh, go back to Ullmark in Game 4. Even if you lose, it's 2-2." Well, no, you can't afford to go 2-2. If you can go 3-1, you go 3-1.
And isn't the part of the reason why the rotation is so beneficial so that Swayman doesn't have those additional 15 to 20 games in the regular season to make him more tired, that he's far more fresh now to go on a run of starts, more so than he would have been had he started 60-plus games in the regular season?
Exactly. The narrative that these guys need rest in the playoffs is so absurd to me, and so, you ask these guys if they need rest. Swayman played 7 games last. He's going to play 6 games this month. He's actually not even playing that much hockey right now.
He doesn't want rest. Is there an issue with Ullmark, do you think? Is he going to be bothered that he's not the guy?
You're not bothered if your team's winning if you're winning, you're not bothered. And again, I think they have something. I think he understands that he needs to stay sharp, and he's going to get an opportunity to play more playoff games. But the idea that you need to rest these guys in playoffs is so crazy to me. There's 2 days off in between these games. Jeremy Swayman's like 26 years old. He's in perfect shape. He can play a few games a week.
Is there some lingering issue from last season between Marchand and Bertuzzi?
I don't know. I think Brad respects Bertuzzi a lot. I think he was so good in the playoffs for the Bruins last season. I think what this is Brad has been able to find his counterpoint in the series, and he knows Bertuzzi's going to go back at him. We've seen this over the years with Marchand. He loves it. He's better when people come back at him,
right?
And come on, like he doesn't want someone to sleep. Yeah, exactly. And
do you feel like the Domi thing with Swayman woke this team up?
No, I think the Domi thing right off the first face-off, going at Brad Marchand in the first game, was the worst strategy that the Toronto Maple Leafs could have had, and I can't believe
they tried to do that during the regular season.
I can't believe Sheldon Keefe didn't grab Domi before that first face-off and say, let this guy sleep. Like, don't slap. He literally slashed him 5 times before the puck even dropped in this series. And Brad, you can see Brad in his head, the wheels are like, oh, okay, we're in this. This is happening. Here we go. This is perfect. And he's just continued to feed. And then Keefe talking about Brad Marchand after Game 3 was crazy to me. Again, a guy like Brad Marchand, you don't even mention his name over 7 games. You tell every single one of those players, give him a shot and get out, and don't get him going. Don't get in his face, because he just enjoys it too much, and he really does feed off of it. He becomes a better player when someone's challenging him.
Because you could tell that's how his career has always been, right? He's always been the guy that's been too small. He's always had to fight the uphill battle. So the more fuel you give him, it seems like you're spot on. We had a caller here like last week saying, where's Brad Marchand been? Yeah. And then next thing you know, he's been lights out. And I don't know whose decision it was from Toronto to say, in the words of Jack, poke the bear.
Well, you talked about it earlier. They seem to be self-destructing a little bit, bitching at each other on the bench. But are they? Does that mean they're done, or are they able to turn that around and use that? I guess.
Well, good teams do. Good players do. We'll see where they're at now. I thought the Leafs were a little different this season. I thought the Leafs it was going to be a bit of a different narrative for these guys, but it's been exactly, the history is like right to a T with these guys. The infighting, the disappearing offensively of a Mitch Marner, no effort. Like these guys have fed into their legacy, which is negative at this point so much. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that they've to this point done that. And if they don't rally, if they don't come together, it's big trouble.
Meaning like legacy of being unable to beat this team in the playoffs for decades.
Correct. And doing it the way they've like doing it because of them. It's not what the Bruins are doing. It's what the Leafs aren't doing. And it's so amazing to me that they've done exactly what all the mistakes they've made in the past, they're making them again over the last 10 days.
What's with Austin Matthews? Does he have the flu? Like, what the hell? What a bizarre... I don't remember any time... I mean, obviously, there's the flu game with Jordan, but how is he still being impeded by an illness?
I'm not sure, but it looked... He was a beast in Game 2. Mm-hmm. Like, he was... And even in Game 1, he was really good, but Game 2 here, he won that game single-handedly for the Leafs. He didn't look the same to me. I said, after, in the middle of 3, but definitely in Game 4, I'm like, wow, he does not look good. Like, they're showing him on the bench. He has no energy. He looked like he was laboring a lot. I'm assuming if the game was 1-1 on Saturday night, he would have stayed in the game. That was like, okay, we're not coming back in this game. We need to find a way to win Game 5. Let's kind of punt and change our goalie and let Matthews sit. But, I'm not sure what he has. I haven't asked anyone up there, but whatever it is, I did think in his defense, of all the guys, he's the one that's showing up the most. I do think that he was laboring in a big way.
This is Phil from New Hampshire with Andrew Raycroft. Hey, Phil.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
I have a question for Andrew. Swayman's pretty much been a puzzle for Toronto that they can't solve. Ullmark has been awesome against Florida. Do you think there's a possibility that the next series could turn into an Ullmark series the way the previous series is turning into a Swayman series just because of a goalie being great against a certain team?
We would call that the series rotation.
So all the rotation people, they can lean into a series rotation now. They're not going to admit that they were wrong about the rotation, so now we're going to move on to a series rotation. I think all Bruins fans and the organization itself would absolutely sign up for Ullmark playing the way Swayman is in the next round. Now, whether he gets that opportunity or we just keep seeing a 956 from Jeremy Swayman the next little while, that would work too. But Ullmark was 3-0 against Florida this season. 2 of the games in Florida in last year's playoffs, he was lights out. Game 3 and 4, he was fantastic. The Bruins will start down there. So being on the road, I think it does allow an opportunity to go with one of their goalies in each of the first 2 games like they did in this series. But let's get through this one first. Let's see where Swayman, if it ends up in 5 and everyone gets some rest, it's hard to go away from Swayman.
How important is it? Because I think the biggest thing, and I've been with me for the goalie rotation thing, I think the biggest thing is, and I'll ask you because you played the position, how important is it for Montgomery to say, okay, you're the one goalie, you're our starter, and you're the backup, and when we need to use you in the playoffs, we'll sprinkle you in for a game, maybe here or there. I think that, to me, is the most important thing. Do you think he's done that, and does the goalie need to know, like, I'm the guy?
Meaning Jeremy Swayman.
Whoever.
He must know he's the guy now.
I don't. Based on how the rotation has gone, do you think that's ever been Montgomery's ever said, "This is your team, the other guy is your backup"?
Do
you need that?
I don't think they need. I don't know if that's the way it's been placed. But what I do expect that there's been a lot of communication with these guys, and whether it's all season long and certainly at the end of the season and now over the last 10 days, there's when he goes and tells Swayman he's starting, he skates by and says, "Hey, Sway, you're going." And then he has a conversation, like a real conversation with Ullmark within this, saying, this isn't just his team. This is all of us. You have to be ready to go, and you're going to still play. Adin Hill won the Stanley Cup last season. He didn't start until the 3rd round. Okay, so there's a lot of hockey to be played. There's still 7 weeks left of this if you go all the way. There's going to be opportunities. And as a goal, listen, the other thing, too, is these guys are pros, right? Like, it's not like Ullmark. It's not minor hockey where you have to like keep the parent happy in this situation. This is pro hockey.
Are you sure?
Well, yeah, maybe these athletes nowadays. Who knows? Yeah. But these guys, he knows. He gets it. He completely gets it. If everybody's winning, it's okay. He's going to keep himself prepared, and I promise you, he understands that if they win this series, he's going to have an opportunity to play again too.
Jake DeBrusk has just been a different player in the playoffs.
Yeah, he has, and he dominates Canadian teams. He's dominated Toronto over the years. Again, that's a bit of a matchup base, and again, it goes to playing the regular season's different. It's just different because you're not playing the same team over and over again. You're on the same schedule. And for Jake DeBrusk, Toronto matches up so well because they want to skate, they want to move, there's a quick pace out there, and it just fits Jake DeBrusk's style. And I think he's the other thing too, it's a contract year. It's like Mayo said, it's about the money. Yeah. It's about the money for Jake DeBrusk too, because if he continues this pace and they go another round and he has 15 points, he's making moolah.
Yeah.
One last one, Razor. Is this, in a way, more impressive than the record-breaking year last year, where you lose Bergeron, you lose Krejci? We all remember the press release that Marchand just had hip surgery. Yeah. We're sitting here in May thinking, oh, my God, this team may miss the playoffs after setting the record for points 1 win away. Obviously, they need to do it. They need to win one of these final games. But to advance to the second round, would that be, in a way, more impressive?
Well, just on paper, right? They're if they do get to the second round, they've gotten further than that team last season when it really counts. So that alone is more impressive. But certainly, with all of the talk around the guys that were leaving the team going into this season, it has to be more impressive than the record-breaking season in that they came together. Guys have stepped up. people that we didn't know were going to be able to step up. The Geekies, the Heinens, the Fredericks, the Boquists of the world have taken another step. So there's no question from my point of view, as a former player, this has to be, if they continue to move on and continue to have success, there's no question that this will be a much more fulfilling season for these guys.
Well, we need a closeout.
You need a closeout.
And that opportunity is tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, no, finish this thing. You don't want to go, because all of a sudden it's 3-2. You're going back to Toronto.
Right.
We're doing this all again.
You
and
got
then
those dingbats outside screaming when people are inside the arena.
Yeah,
and Monty hates Toronto. He commented on too many days during the off.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing too, right, is if you looking forward, the Rangers are done now. They're 4-0. Carolina's 3-1. Florida's 3-1. So let's just assume those two teams, everybody goes in 5. If you're the Bruins, you don't want to go into the next series playing more games.
Right.
You want the rest. You want to get the next series going. So rest is now key, and you have the opportunity to do that. Do not look ahead and finish this off in front of the home fans.
Well, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Sorry that Courtney isn't here. She seems to have a fascination with you. I don't know if you've heard that or not.
Right.
Yeah.
From the waist up.
I'm not a fan of your legs.
I felt comfortable wearing shorts today. I wasn't
They
going to
look
be
great, to be
judged.
honest.
I feel like your legs are fine.
Yeah,
she has
they
an
look
issue with them. I think she called them chicken legs or something on the show.
Chicken sticks.
Chicken
Like the
sticks.
characters from SpongeBob.
All right, Razor. We'll be watching tomorrow night.
All right,
All
love
right,
it.
there he is. We will be, I think Foyer's going to examine my ear next. Should I let him?
I'm sticking
Yes.
around for
Are
that.
you
I'm
gonna
just
stick
going to
around?
sit in the corner here and watch this.
What if there's there could be like spiders or something living in there?
Yeah, that'll be a problem.
Or it could just be old age.
Right.
Could be-
He'll be able to see all that with his little contraption.
Yeah, yes. He's not going to do like a full gyno exam on me. It's kind of weird.
He might be like tell you to open up your, stick your tongue out.
Do I have to cough? Am I supposed to, if he says cough, I'm not
Yes.
doing it. All right.